Good day, everyone. Welcome to Blacklogic. So I have some very exciting news for you guys today in your news update because Senate Republicans just passed Trump's one big beautiful bill with VP J.D. Vance breaking the tie. It's a political nuke advancing $4 trillion in tax cuts while gutting Medicaid, and experts warn that it'll bury America under a mountain of debt. But the chaos really doesn't stop there because Elon Musk has declared war on Trump, threatening to launch the American Party, which would be the fourth political party that's on the books, backed by his billion-strong global following, including a very massive Chinese fan base now watching the feud with popcorn in hand. We understand that President Trump, when it comes to the China relation, is very critical of this, so he will be keeping a watchful eye. Meanwhile, Trump's birthright citizenship ban is locked and loaded for no other than July 27, set to shake every state's legal system and possibly the Constitution itself. And add in those soaring oil prices thanks to Iran, Ukraine warning of Russian escalation, and a judge smacking down Kristi Noem's temporary protected status of Haitian immigrants, and so much more. We're going to get into it. We're going to get it popping. I'm going to inform you guys of all the latest news and some hot takes that I believe you guys will actually enjoy. So here, the thing about this particular Republicans and five fiscal critics to push through Trump's signature beautiful tax cuts, Senate voted board tallying 51-50. And then a lot of these things, when it comes into regards to a lot of the segments of this bill and how this is going to transform our governments. But here's the thing. Trump's second coming of Reaganomics, the Senate just steamrolled Trump's new tax legislation, nicknamed the One Big Beautiful Bill, straight past its critics. They're promising tax relief for working Americans and small businesses, but there's the kicker. There is a kicker when it comes to this, because the nonpartisan budget won't say they could not allow a 3.3 trillion hole in the deficit over 10 years. And that's trillion with a T, and that doesn't even include interest that this may, again, accumulate over the course of 10 years. And Republicans say they're betting on a long-term growth and job creation, the kind of economic boom we saw pre-COVID. And Democrats are calling it fiscal lunacy and warning of a debt spiral. And behind it all, Trump's trying to keep his July 4th deadline for a House vote fireworks indeed, because President Trump wants to sign this one big beautiful bill into law on no other than Independence Day, July 4th, this Friday. So I'll keep you guys abreast of that situation as well. Now, as we're shifting gears here, Trump scored a quiet but serious legal win with Paramount Pictures, and he's been winning a lot of his court cases. He's been winning a ton of his court cases. Paramount just paid him $16 million to settle a defamation suit. No apology, just cash. Why? Because this clears the way for their billion-dollar merger with Skydance. This wasn't about Trump's ego. This was strategic. He leveraged a lawsuit to force a media company's hand, clear a financial logjam, and walked away with a clean PR slate and millions hand. That's vintage Trump business warfare, folks. And again, the defamation lawsuits has been working out nicely for President Trump. I think he's already garnered almost $45 million of defamation from different organizations that depicted him incorrectly, and he had evidence to prove of some of the things they alluded that he said or some of the acts he was going to take that they were false. So again, you just made a rich man even richer. You're giving him 15, 16. I've seen two accounts where he was given 15 million. If I can remember correctly, I think Meta gave him 20 million, somewhere between 15 and 20 million. But at the least, all of these companies are giving President Trump $15 million. So again, it seems like he is absolutely winning a lot of the things that he's trying to do. Okay. Now, meanwhile, over in the Middle East, oil prices are jumping again after Iran told the UN nuclear watchdogs we're done cooperating. And that in itself is a very, very big deal because they're no longer cooperating with the UN and these so-called nuclear watchdogs, especially for energy markets and global diplomacy. We saw a very brief dip in oil prices after a rumored ceasefire between Iran and Israel. Even here where I live at, the gas prices dropped down to $2.54 a gallon. And this is soon going to rise. So this news hit just this morning. And again, it takes a little bit of time for the markets to react. And those markets, I'm talking about those gas markets, your gas stations right where you are. So if your car is not filled up with gas, you should go and get this cheap gas now. And hopefully as this goes up and down each and every day, like the stock market, you guys should have a full tank of gas at the cheap prices that it's currently at. But now with the latest developments, the risk premium is back on the table. Translation, prices at the pump could rise again. And from what we've been seeing, it will rise again. It's no surprise that gas prices will once again rise. So I don't know if that's hot takes or if that's good news altogether. Now, Ukraine's top officials are begging Washington not to cut off weapon shipments to Ukraine. Why? Because they saw a pause, even a short one, will give Putin the green light to make massive gains. We're not talking about bullets here. We're talking about tanks, drones, battlefield tech. Congress is hesitating, but Ukraine's warning is blunt. If you stop, Russia will push forward. Are we listening? I wonder if this is beneficial for America if we continue to support Ukraine with money and $1 billion of American ingenuity, innovation, and tech to defend themselves against the big bad Russians that are coming over and taking back what used to be the Soviet Union. And here's another thing. I don't think people are really understanding how powerful the Soviet Union was. There was one of our biggest foes, not that we went to war with them, but again, when the Soviet Union was formed, America didn't want to go to war with the Soviet Union. That's why they call it the Cold War. It was more so espionage and spy, but head to head, neither country wanted that. They understood that this would decimate and destroy our country, and the power and the economic growth that both of these two juggernauts had at the time, especially with the Soviet Union, that would deplete, that would be decimated. It would be exhausted because of this war, because we would use each and every resource just to win, which will make America weak, and America wouldn't be on top today. So again, that was a good thing that we didn't go to war, but it seems as though in some regards, the way Russia is invading and accumulating landmass over Ukraine, that it's possible this could be Soviet Union times 2. And I don't think no one is looking that far out, but I tend to look at these things because, again, these things can easily mature in the ongoing things that's going on. Now, for the bombshell of the week, we've been seeing Elon Musk and President Trump for the past month go back and forth. And Elon Musk just declared war on Donald Trump, publicly threatened to start his own political party called the so-called American Party. He's accusing Trump of corruption and saying the GOP has become a cult of personality. And this is the same man, mind you. This is the same man that supported President Trump with millions and millions of dollars, and now stating that he's a crook, that he's corrupt. I wonder why Elon Musk is saying that now. I have no idea why Elon Musk would be talking ill will towards President Trump by President Trump allowing all these government subsidies and contracts and low interest loans to Tesla and SpaceX and the Bohr Company and Gronk AI. All these things are intertwined with the government. Do not forget about Elon Musk's satellite phone network as well, that he was actually pitching to the American government. As we're far too in bed with Elon Musk, even though no one's taken away from his intelligence or the way he's constructed his business and all the technologies that he's creating and released. No one's taken away from that. But sometimes you can have a monopoly and other rich people and other powerful people start to get just a little bit hesitant from investing fully, because now you're going to be our sole proprietor of all the products that you made, and you have the right ownership of your own intellectual property, and the government won't benefit from that. Just as well that Americans are now seeing the relationship that we had with China with like almost 85%, and I'm stretching this a little bit. This is a little bit conjecture. 85% of American products were made in China. Let me just look at this very quickly. I have a bottle here that sanitizes my water. I'm just trying to see where this is made in China. I don't know if you guys have, and this is not a promo, but I just want to show you this bottle I have here. that I just press a button with the water, okay? And it starts to use UV lights, and it also has a filter inside as well. But I just wanted to show you how just this random product, if you guys can see that, is made in China as well, okay? It's made in China as well. I'm just like to give you guys real life examples because people can just talk to you and tell you anything, but nobody, I won't say nobody, but a lot of people really don't provide proof. And I really, really want to provide evidence and proof, because if not, it's just somebody on the internet just talking a bunch of bull. And I tend not to do that. I want to give you the news the way I like to give it to you. And I know a lot of you like to receive it. Okay. But nonetheless, let's move on, because Kristi Noem tried to revoke the statuses of Haitian immigrants. And she got stopped in her tracks after a judge blocked her plan to kick Haitians off their temporary protected status. Now, look, whatever side of immigration you're on, this is a big win for the courts over state level executive power. It also shows that the legal system stepping in with immigration policy becomes a political weapon. And believe me, this is one of the ones that a lot of people are going to witness to watch, because it states here the Homeland Security Secretary attempted to end legal status for approximately over 500,000 Haitian immigrants. Now, that protection, from what it's worth, is in regards to the legal statuses not being revoked and allowing their legal status to expire. Okay. So again, this is a good thing for the legal system. And when it comes to immigration, I'm for illegal immigration. And if she's trying just to revoke them, then I believe that this needs to be looked at from a higher power. And I want to guys show you this picture that's showing up here of do you want to return home? They have a black man, okay, and you can tell he's from another country, depending on his hairline. He's just letting that grow in like a little U shape. I digress. And then it seems to be a Hispanic woman with mixed children. So they don't even have a white woman on here like they usually do. And again, I'm not trying to make it racial. I'm just making it real, because we know how they usually do this blended family, biracial family. But with this, it's really depicted and showing someone of African descent, Black African descent, and as well as somebody who seems to be Latina and or Hispanic. So again, I wanted to point those things out because I do think that it's important that we point those things out. And I do want to go just a little bit deeper when it comes to this particular story, because I don't know if people are understanding the total breakdown of why Kristi Noem, how she lost in court regarding this. But federal judge Brian Cogan didn't mince words. He slapped down Noem's move as unlawful. He stated that it was unlawful because she tried to partially vacate a temporary protective status designation, something she has no statutory or inherent authority to do. And basically that's saying that Noem tried to play judge, jury, and Congress. The law simply doesn't give her that power. So if we look at the temporary protective status, which is governed by the by 8 U.S. Code 1254A, which gives the Secretary of Homeland Security the power to designate a country for TPS or extend that designation, terminate it, but only through a clearly defined process. And that process requires a thorough review of current country conditions, a publication in the Federal Register explaining the reason, and strict adherence to timelines set by Congress. And Noem tried to cut that short, ending TPS for Haitians before the lawful expiration date, which is February 3rd of 2026. Without a proper country condition review, Judge Cogan said, nope, I will not allow it because the law mandates reviews and notices at certain intervals before TPS can end. Noem didn't follow these steps. Cogan called it a violation of Congress' clear instructions. This isn't just a technicality, it's a foundational administrative law. If a federal agency skips required steps, courts will overturn it. The lawsuit also alleged racial animus, an argument given by Teef. Now, Trump's so-called value falsehood during a September 2024 debate where he claimed Haitians were eating pets, a long pattern of what people are calling of anti-Black and anti-Haitian rhetoric that courts have looked at before. Now, I necessarily don't agree with that. I could agree to a certain point. It could be anti-Haitian, But they have never accused Black Americans of eating animals. I mean, you can accuse Michael Vick of fighting some dogs, which a lot of people fight dogs and some people fight chickens. But other than that, you can never accuse Black Americans of eating what we call pets, cats and dogs and rabbits and gerbils and hamsters. You've never heard that from our society. So again, not anti-Black, because then you're saying this is all about Black people all around the world. No. This is mostly directed from the people of the island of Hispaniola, which part of the islands are Haitians. So again, let's not wrap all Black people into this as they try to do this, because they try to anchor us in these protests and fights so we can then support people who could be here in a temporary status that if they are required and permitted to have legal permanent status, then they're turning their nose up us for the most part and come out and make video and TikTok clips about how they're anti-FBA, they're anti-Black Americans. So no, we're not jumping on board with this as well. So don't try to group us in with this, because we're simply not going to go for it. Now, I think another point here is to talk about the birthright citizenship, because here's the one the media is sleeping on. Trump's birthright citizenship ban is set to take effect on no other than July 27. And this is a big one, believe it or not. That means if you're born here, but your parents aren't citizens, you might not be granted automatic citizenship. And that's why you see people from all walks of life. We're talking about African immigrants, Caribbean immigrants, South American immigrants, Central American immigrants, Mexican immigrants, Asian immigrants, Eastern European immigrants, all coming out the woodwork. And a lot of them are first and second generation, right? They've had children, but their parents are not citizens. Some of them are here illegally and some of them are here legally. And they say, you know what? So what if your parents were born here? That means that you're not foundational to the land. That means you're not native to America. And this has never been done before. The limitations of the 14th Amendment. And a lot of people are dealing in opinionated conjecture and rhetoric stating that they're just going to overturn the 14th Amendment. So that means that everybody who was protected under the 14th Amendment, especially you Black Americans, you'll be out of here as well, which we already know that President Trump clarified that in the clip that I provided for you guys, I believe, last week. But this has never been done before, and it could reshape hospitals, schools, and system and legal services, everything. And with 50 states on edge, we're talking about a constitutional minefield ready to explode. And I think this is where I tend to dial in this a little bit more so we can have clarity when it comes to the law instead of people just give us a bunch of rhetoric. And I want to reinstate, as you see here on your screen, on July 27th, the U.S. government could erase the future of American-born children with a single stroke of executive ink. That's what might be going on right here, ladies and gentlemen. That's why it might be going on here, and make citizenship a political privilege instead of a constitutional right. So here's what's really going down. In a very sweeping return to executive authority, President Trump signed an order titled Protecting the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship. Here it is, folks. And this was actually signed on January 20th, and no one was of the wiser. But effective July 27th, the ban denies citizenship to U.S.-born children if the mother is illegal and the father is not a citizen or green card holder. The mother here is on a temporary visa, and that's student, work, or tourist, and the father still doesn't qualify. This is Trump's logic. These children are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. That's a direct challenge to the 14th Amendment itself. Let's go a little bit deeper here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go here a little bit deeper, because this is one of the hot stories that hasn't been really getting highlighted, but I want to highlight it here. It states here the purpose, the privilege, okay, not the right, the privilege. And I'm right here. Let me see if I can highlight this for you very, very quickly. The privilege of the United States citizenship is a priceless and profound gift. The 14th Amendment states all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. That provision rightly repudiated the Supreme Court of the United States shameful decision in Dred Scott versus Sanford, which misinterpreted the Constitution as permanently excluding people of African descent from eligibility for the United States citizenship solely based on their race. And supposedly the United States law does nothing simply based upon race. So when we look at this, we have to break this down the way that the U.S. Constitution intended it to be. Early this year, when this was actually signed, 22 states, including Washington and Oregon, sued to block this ban. You guys see this? They sued to block this particular ban because they want to keep people who are illegally in our country. And judge issued nationwide injunctions to freeze it. But then the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that federal judges can no longer issue nationwide injunctions unless a case is certified as a class action. And this means if your state didn't sue Trump, you're now fair game. 28 states, over the half the country, could enforce Trump's birthright ban starting July 27th. And the only hope to stop it is that the lower courts must approve class action lawsuits fast before the clock runs out. This is the only way you're going to stop this. This is the only way they're going to stop this. And the justification, Trump's order claims to uphold the Constitution and protect the value of citizenship by invoking the Dred Scott case, the same racist ruling that denied Black American citizenship until the 14th Amendment overturned it. He argues that the 14th Amendment never guaranteed universal citizenship and that it excludes anyone not subject to the jurisdiction of the U.S. law. And that includes children of illegal immigrants and children of temporary visa holders. Again, those students, workers, and tourists that come here. So this particular policy, the federal agency, the State Department, Homeland Security, Social Security, Department of Justice can issue birth certificates, Social Security numbers, or passports to affect children born after July 27. They'll be born on U.S. soil, but denied proof they exist as Americans. This is the enforcement plan. All federal departments must issue implementation guidance within 30 days. This is happening in real time. This is happening in real time. And this is, again, what the people voted for. This is what the people wanted. They have been using the 14th Amendment legislation that was meant to garner those released enslaved Black Americans and their children to be American citizens because we built the foundation of America. But nonetheless, for us to have citizenship, rather than people who just come over and touch the soil, I'm American citizen, people come over here who had babies, I'm American citizen, my baby is American, so I'm tethered and I'm anchored into a country illegally, even though I got here by no other means than legal citizenship. So when we look at this, it's been very, very evident and very clear. If born after February 19th, 2025, in the wrong state after July 27th of this year, these children could be rendered stateless, ineligible for education, healthcare, travel, and employment. This is immigration enforcement. 4.4 million U.S. born children already live with at least one illegal parent. 1.8 million children live in households where both parents lack legal status. Thousands and hundreds of thousands more are born each year to people on temporary visas, which includes those students and engineers, tourists, and farm workers. But again, we have to look at the bigger picture. Trump's team claims they're protecting the value of citizenship. But who decides the U.S. Constitution? This order effectively says that citizenship isn't a birthright. It isn't a birthright. It's a governmental privilege. The Constitution is up for reinterpretation. The federal bureaucracy can decide who gets to be American, not the Constitution, according to the reports. Some people are saying this is not law and this is not order. This is executive overreach disguised as patriotism. It's the same logic that people are stating that this is how they attacked the Dred versus Scott case. But nonetheless, 2 lawsuits have been refiled as class actions. If lower courts approve before July 27th, the ban could be a nationwide blocked again. If not, then citizenship in America becomes geography dependent, basically. A child born in Illinois may be a citizen. A child born in our way, Indiana, may be stateless. This is what I call, I guess I will call this a legal paradox, with implication far beyond immigration in some accords. But as this people are stating that this will and may affect Black Americans, and again, I can pop that clip up, but I don't want to waste your time. Just letting you know the truth that birthright citizenship will hurt foundational Black Americans. And the president already stated no, that the 14th Amendment was good and it was intended to be good. So those people who were enslaved and released, who were Black people in this country, who are foundational to this land, who are native to this land, were meant to have citizenship in this country, not people who sneak through a fence, not people who stay past their expiration date on their visas, not those people, but for the people who built the very foundation and then helped build the country that we see today. Because again, I think there's a distinct difference that we must make here. The very foundation of America was built by Black people, Black Americans. And yes, other groups came over to extend the foundation that we've already built. Because when people say, well, who cleared the ground to build the railroads? Who laid the original tracks? Black Americans did. And then Chinese came over, especially after they lifted the Chinese Exclusion Act. Well, who built all these structures and governmental buildings? Well, Black people built those, and then later came the Germans, then later came the Italians that built some and helped build some of the skyscrapers. Because don't forget, we were the dominant non-white group in America. We're the ones who had the workforce. They only had maybe a couple of thousand of those people until they started doing mass immigration to get other people over here. And I think when we say these things, people get irritated. They get upset. They get emotional. They say, no, these people did it. These people did it. I'm just stating, just go back a little bit further and you will see there have been foundational Black Americans who've been here, who built the very foundation, who paved the first roads, who cleared the ground for the first road. Don't forget, America was the Wild Wild West. It was either desert or grassy plains. But who built these paths? Yeah, you had horses that was going over into the paths that you could actually see the paths on which they waited, and they just cleared the rest of the brush, the rest of the grass, the rest of the bushes, the rest of the trees, uprooted all these things, helped blast through the mountains so the railroads can go through. I'm just stating that these people did help build America. But again, the hard, painstaking work of the initial clearance and initial pavement and the roads and builds and buildings and structures and houses and bridges, that was built by my ancestors.